Hello everyone and welcome to Intellipaat. A database is a group of connected data that facilitates effective data retrieval, insertion, and deletion. The data is organized in the database using tables, views, schemas, reports, etc. For instance, a university database organizes information about students, faculty, administrative staff, etc., enabling effective data retrieval, insertion, and deletion. Essentially, a database management system, or DBMS, is just a computerized data keeping system. Users of the system are provided with the ability to carry out a variety of actions on such a system for either managing the database structure itself or manipulating the data in the database. Data structures or types are used to classify database management systems or DBMS. Now let's take a look at the agenda. Firstly, we have DBMS versus data warehousing, after which we have OLAP, that is Online Analytical Processing, and lastly we have OLTP, that is Online Transaction Process.
But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so that you never miss any update from Intellipaat YouTube channel.
The next slide we're having is DBMS versus data warehousing. So first difference. So in the DBMS we're having it is a transaction oriented. In data warehousing it is a subject oriented. So DBMS is nothing but database management system. DW is nothing but data warehousing. So here DBMS and data warehousing is used for the storing the data. But actually what is gonna happening here? So transaction is nothing but, let me take an example. So if you are going with the, let me take an example of the Instagram. So in the Instagram, what are the things that you can do? So in the Instagram, we can only send a picture, or we can do the settings in my profile. I can upload the reel. I can text with my friend. These are the things that the particular transaction. So if I'm considering my Instagram here, so what are the transaction I can do with the help of Instagram? So with the help of Instagram, I can't do any transaction, right? Like let's say if I want to transfer my money to my friend. So this is not possible in my thing. Because the main difference I would like to tell you the DBMS. So basically in the DBMS we'll be using in a SQL. SQL is nothing but the SQL. Okay. We are using only the structured language. Structured language is nothing but you'll be having the SQL, right? Okay, let's say I'll be having a table. Guys, the first difference between DBMS and the data warehouse. So you'll be having a table. Okay, it is in a structured manner. In a particular column, you'll be having all the employee ID. So employee name. Okay, I'll be writing in here, and you'll be having the date of joining, and you'll be having the salary. I can tell it is very structured manner. Okay, everything is structured. So this happens only in the SQL. If you want to maintain the data in a structured format, it will be happen only in the SQL. But in the data warehouse, is not like that. It can be store any kind of data, right? So you'll be having a different kinds of data in the data warehouse. But in my DBMS, it allows only to store only the SQL, the structured language. It's not allowed to store some different kinds of data. Okay, that is the first difference between the DBMS and the data warehouse. So subject oriented. Subject oriented is nothing but, I told you, I'll be having a n number of thing in my data warehousing. So different sectors. So with the help of these things, with the help of data warehouse, I can extract only that thing, that one particular subject area. So here data warehouse is a type of database management system. It is also said to be a type of database management system. Here I'm using DBMS and the data warehouse. I'm using this for the storing the data, right? Both are used here. Guys, if you are seeing something in a well-structured manner, that is said to be a structured language, the SQL one. So it is the full form of SQL, structured query language. Okay, these things you will be studying more whenever you will be entering to the SQL subject. Okay, just keep in mind, DBMS allows only the structured language. It don't allow the different kinds of data. The one which is unstructured. Okay, that is not gonna allow in the DBMS. The one which is structured. So what are the things I can have the unstructured? Let's say I can have the image, videos, that are all the unstructured manner. That is not allowed in the DBMS. Only the structured manner is being stored in the DBMS. Okay. In the data warehouse, it can store a number of data, but in the loading, we'll just convert, right? In the transforming, we'll be converting the different kinds of data in one particular format. So data warehousing. So I'll be converting it to the SQL format. Then I'll be loading in my data warehousing. Then I can tell this is the structured thing. I'll be having what are the data that I'm having, that entire data is in a structured way. It's not only the particular data. Data warehouse have the capabilities to store any kind of data, but when we go under the ETL process, okay, in the ETL process, we are just converting that thing in one particular format. Let's say if you're trying to convert this thing in a SQL format, then I can tell what are the data that I'm presenting my data warehouse, that is said to be a structured manner, right? So previously I have data in unstructured manner, but I don't want to keep my data in this format. So I have to convert that thing into one format and then I'll be storing. Here we're just going under the ETL process. But in DBMS, we're not going under the ETL process, because in DBMS, we're having all the things, the data, whatever that we are storing, it is all comes under the structured manner. So data warehouse is unstructured manner until you go work with the ETL process. Because in the data warehousing, like once the extract transform is done, you will be loading that data into your data warehousing, right? So there, that thing is said to be structured. So till then, everything is the unstructured. Yes, after ETL. So previously, you'll be having a n number of data, right? So that different kinds of data is converted into the one format. So there you can extract the things, individual subject. That is happen only in the data warehouse. The next point, it says that contains detailed data. Detailed data means it will just give a complete detail. Let's say if I'm taking this employee table, no, it is just gonna give me the detailed. See here in this table, I'm having the employee ID, employee name, and the date of joining and the salary. I'm getting the entire data regarding one particular employee or all the employees that they are working in the company. Contains detailed data. So what is data warehouse? Contain historic data. With the help of data warehouse, we will be having the historic data. We can store the data from the past few years, right? So it will be containing the historic data, but here it will give the detailed about the data. The next point we're having is it captures data, it analyzes data. So it captures data is nothing but here we are just going to collect the data. Guess what actually you're going to do in the SQL? You're the one who will be creating the data, right? You'll be creating the data sets to perform the structured query language. But in the data warehouse, like what are the thing that we are having already? So we'll just import that thing and we'll start analyzing. But in the SQL, you are the one who will be creating this kind of data. Okay, you will understand this thing when you come to the SQL. So there they will tell you how to create the table. You'll be having some commands, right? Create table, table name. So here you have to give employee ID name. These are the things that you will be studying in a SQL, where you are the one who will be creating the data. But in the data warehousing, what are the data that we are having, that we are just importing and we'll start analyzing the things. Okay, here analyzation is done, but here it just collects the data. See here, DBMS is application oriented. So data warehouse is a subject. The same step is repeated here the same way. What are the things that I'm told you, right? Like if I'm taking my Instagram as an application, there I can do only these things. So there I can share my pics, share my reels. I can chat with my friends. I can do a call to my friend. There everything will be done in the DBMS, that particular application. So if I'm considering the Instagram as my application, those are the things I can done. Let's say if I'm considering my application as a Google Pay or the Phone Pay. So what are the things that you can do in the Google Pay or the Phone Pay? You can do the transactions, right? You can transaction to your friend. You can send money, you can receive money. These are the things that is happening in the application oriented. Subject oriented is nothing but, so you're going to retrieve the data with one particular subject. You'll be having a different data. If you want to retrieve only one particular subject, you can retrieve with the help of data warehouse. Application oriented and the subject oriented. So basically, what is application oriented? So let's say if I'm considering one application, because we'll be having a n number of applications, right? If I'm considering my Instagram, this is my one application. I'm just going to consider, okay, Insta or Facebook, WhatsApp, you can consider any application. Let's say I'm considering the Insta as my application. So here, what are the things that you can do? So you can send, you can create the account. Okay, after that you can post the things. So you can make a friend with others. You can chat with your friend. You can do a call with your friend. So everything is happen in the Insta, but with the help of Insta account, I cannot transfer my money, right? So is it possible, guys? With the help of Insta account, I'll be able to transfer my money to some person? No, it's not possible. So what are the things that I can do with the help of Insta? The only that thing I can do. So application oriented, it is just based on the application. What are the things that you can do with the help of Insta? That only you can do. So let's say if you want to transfer money for your friend, so then you'll go for the Google Pay or the Phone Pay, right? So you'll be having a separate application. This is said to be application oriented. So based on your application, you're going to work with it. So in the Google Pay or the Phone Pay, you're just going to do the transaction with your friend. But the transaction is not possible in the Insta. This is said to be application oriented. Okay, so subject oriented. Subject oriented is nothing but I'll be having the data warehouse, right? I'll be having a different data marts, the data will be stored. So let's say if I'm considering the data warehouse as some e-learn institute. So I'll be having a different data marts here. So in my one database, I'll be having all the trainers data. So in one thing, I'll be having all the students data. So in one data, I'll be having all the recordings of the sessions. So in one more data, I can say I'll be having all the, let's say, the transaction details. Okay, in one database, I'll be having a different things. Subject oriented is nothing but if you want to fetch only the student details, like if you want to fetch only the student details, then you can go for this particular subject. You can go with a particular subject here. Here we'll be having a different things and we can do n number of tasks. But if I'm considering only one application, then I have to perform the things based on that particular application only. I cannot do the multiple application task over here. Like I'm just taking the two different application. Okay, so I'm just telling what are the things that you can do with the help of Insta. So I have taken one more application, that what are the things that you can do with the Google Pay. So here I'm telling, if you want to do the transaction if you want to do any transaction with your friend, you cannot go with the Insta, right? I'll be having a different application. These are the two different application. So I'm just telling, like, if you want to do the transaction, I'm just explaining, you cannot go with the Insta. So for that purpose, you will require a different application called Google Pay or the Phone Pay, where you can do the transaction. So both are storage only. DBMS is also the storage and data warehouse is also the storage. So here we'll be having all the data in a structured manner. The entire data, what are the data you're having, everything will be in a structured manner. But in the data warehousing, starting until you go under the ETL process, you'll be having a data in a different formats. Okay, that is the difference between the DBMS and the data warehouse here. In the data warehouse, we'll be having an option called ETL process where we can convert the different data in one format. That is all possible in the data warehouse. But in DBMS, you should have only the thing in one particular thing. Everything should be in a structured way. So does it mean it need not to have the multiple data sources? So when we are going to undergo the ETL process, when we are having the multiple data sources, but we have to convert that data sources into the one particular thing, right? Then we are just going with the thing. So at the time we want data warehouse. So if you want to convert anything at the time, if you're having all the data, the first step itself, if you're having all the data and if you're transform or if you're extracting the data into the staging area, so you'll be having one area. So here it's not gonna do any task because the whatever data you're having, the every data, different database is all comes under the same thing, same format. So that thing will be stored here and the same thing that will be loaded in the data warehousing. The data warehouse is required where you can store the all the data. Detailed data means you will get all the details about that particular data. Okay, this is the general difference between the DBMS and the data warehousing. So these are the different kinds of data, right? Like Instagram, I'll be having a different data, in the Facebook, I'll be having. So like with the all kinds of this social media, like whatever that you have given. So we'll be having a data in some manner. So the text, I can say the text, the photos or the videos you'll be having. That you have to convert it because those are the things that I'm having in a different manner. This or this the things like what are the things that you have saying here that does not come under the one particular format. There are the different formats, so that you have to convert in one particular format and then that thing you have to store it in a data warehousing. So basically what is OLAP? Online Analytical Processing. So it says that it is a computing method that enable users to easily and selectively extract data. So with the help of this OLAP, we can extract the data with very easily. It used to query data in order to analyze it from the different point of view. I will just explain with the diagram. So OLAP business intelligence often helps in trend analysis. So where and all you can use this OLAP one. So you can often helps in the trend analysis. If you want to do any analysis, the OLAP tool is used. The financial reporting, sales forecasting, budgeting, and many other process. So this OLAP tool is low. So I said you right, like we'll have the Power BI, that tool we'll be using for the ETL or the visualization purpose. The same way, the OLAP business intelligence often helps in trend analysis. If you want to do any analysis on that particular thing, you can go for the analyzing the things. So it is used to query data. You'll be having a query, right? So based on that, you can extract the things. If you're having a query on that particular thing, you can extract that particular column and you can start analyzing it. You'll be having the finance data, you'll be having the some student data, you'll be having some employee data. So these are the different data that you're having, that you're sending it in a data warehouse. So you'll be having a different mart, right? In the first here, let's say this is your data warehouse. So you'll be having a different mart. Here the first thing will be stored. Here the second, the student. In the third, I'll be having the employee one. So now the user, like whatever the user I'm having here, they're just gonna retrieve the data. So let's say they want the data from the student. So if they are going to retrieve the data from the student, so let's say they have to check how many students as enrolled for this particular course. Okay, they'll be having a query here. So then it will come here and it will check in the database. So for like what are the query that user is having, then I can select the student, right? So you just consider the student as a separate data mart. You'll be having the all the data which is related to the student. So here you can take the thing that, so you can retrieve the data from the student, like what are the things. So how many students have enrolled for this particular course. Okay, you can retrieve the things and that will come and sit here. You will get only the particular student thing. If your query is regarding the student, then that is gonna be here. So I can tell my OLAP is acting like a bridge in between the data warehouse and the query, the user query. It's a mediator. So whatever the query that user is having, so based upon that query, that is gonna give the answer for me. If my another user is having a query on a particular employee thing, okay, they just wanted to know like how many employees had left the company in this so many years. So if this person is having this query, then again this OLAP will search in the data warehousing thing. So if that thing is related to the employee, then it is gonna retrieve that particular thing. So that it is telling it is computing method that enable users to easily and selectively extract data. If they want to extract the data regarding the student one, they can extract the data individually. They can extract the data with the help of OLAP. Guys, is it clear like what actually the OLAP is doing here? We'll be having a different databases. Okay, you can store n number of things. So that thing will be stored in a data warehouse in one particular format. You'll be having a different data marts in the data warehousing. If your user is going to having the query regarding the student, only the single thing. So let's say my student is present in a second data mart, right? It is gonna retrieve it. So one particular subject is gonna retrieve one particular subject from the data warehouse. So whatever the query they're having, it just depends on the user. So based upon that particular thing, they can start analyzing it. Extracting data in the sense, if you want to get only one particular thing, the subject area, you'll be having a different data source, like you'll be having something called student database separate, employee database separate. So you'll be having a n number of things in the data warehouse, okay? So based upon your query, that is gonna retrieve it. So if I'm having the query regarding the employment, then it's not a use of going with the student, right? So what are the query that I'm having? That thing is gonna retrieve it. Historic data, it comes here. See here. Here we're having the data warehousing. So here I can tell all the historic data will be available in my data warehouse. With the help of OLAP, I can retrieve the data. I can retrieve anything from my data. Because this is a historical data, my data warehouse is a historical data. So last point, it says that OLAP business. So whatever the query that user is having, based upon that query, it is going to fetch the data. So my third point, it says that OLAP business intelligence often helps in trend analysis, financial reporting, sales forecasting, budgeting, and other planning process. So it means, so where and all we are going to use this OLAP. So if you want to do, see, while after extracting, we are just going with the analyzing, right? For the analyzation purpose, the OLAP is required. If you want to create any report, then you can go with the OLAP process. You can extract the single thing. Based on that thing, you can do the report on that. Then forecasting. These are the different kinds of things where you can use the OLAP. They're just giving the example. These are the examples that you're having. So where and all you can have the OLAP here. Once the analysis is done, so we can just so what are the thing that is necessary? So we are just going with the analysis, right? Once the analysis is done, so what are the things that I need to add it in my report? Then I can add it. If anything is necessary, that thing that I'm gonna add it in my report. So let's say if you're doing any project in your thing, so they will tell you to make a report, right? For the report, you cannot go directly. So there are some of the things that you have to do it before the creating the report. You have to extract the data, you have to load the data, and you have to analyze some of the data. So what are the things that you're getting from that thing? So based on that only you're going to do a report. The next we are having is OLTP. So OLTP is nothing but online transaction process. So whatever the transaction that you are doing in the online, that entire process is said to be a OLTP, the transaction thing. It facilitates and manages transaction-oriented applications. The OLTP enables a large number of database transactions made by large number of people over the internet. See here. So if you are going with the internet thing, so if you want to do any transaction that you're doing with the help of internet, right? So that is said to be a OLTP, online transaction. So without internet, you cannot do any transaction in the online. So the third point, it says that a database transaction is a change, insertion, deletion, or query of the data in a database. So where we can do all the modification. If you want to insert any new data, or if you want to delete anything, if you want to do any modification of the data, that is possible here. So OLTP system drives many of the financial transaction made every day. So they are just taking an example. So where and all you are going with the OLTP. So these are the things that is happening with the help of online itself, right? So ATM transaction, e-commerce, and in-store purchase. So nowadays, without internet, the work is not going to complete it. The OLTP is used for the large number of data. So whenever you'll be having a large number of data transaction, at the time we'll be go with the OLTP. That too with the help of internet. So what is structured one? That whatever the pics, the videos you are saying, right, that will come under the unstructured database. That won't come under structured database. So structured database is nothing but it should follow some of the rules and regulations. So it will be in the format of rows and columns. That is said to be a structured data. Okay, I cannot tell this Facebook and Instagram will come under the DBMS. There you will get only the information about that particular. So if I'm considering one employee table, there I will get all the details regarding the employee. So when my employee has joined, when that employee has left the company, so what are the technologies he know? Okay. So how many salaries earning for that particular month? That detail I'm gonna get in the DBMS because that is a structured manner, right? The reason why we are going to use the OLTP for the larger number of transactions. So if you want to do any modification for the insertion deletion, then we'll just go with the OLTP thing. Yes, only the owner. So because in the company, even we are not allowed, right? There will be some particular person, they will be having all the rights. So therefore, you cannot go with the things. You cannot go with the things that, let's say, you cannot enter into the server room itself. So you don't have any rights to go there. The only one who is having rights, they'll be handling all the data warehousing thing, the server room. So he'll be knowing the what data is stored where, everything he'll be knowing. He is the only person can make the changes. If you want to do any transactions, not for the subject. The third point they're telling, a database transaction is a change, insertion, deletion, or the query of the data in a database. So if you are having any query in your data, that you can do the changes. If you want to update anything, or if you want to do any modification, if you want to delete something, that is all possible with the help of OLTP. The SQL tool, whatever that you are using, SQL tool is used for the structured data. Structured data is nothing but you are the one who will be creating the table. OLTP system drives many of the financial transactions made every day, including online transaction, ATM transaction, e-commerce, and in-store. These are just an example, like where and all we are going with the OLTP. These are the applications like where and all we are using the OLTP.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in data engineering, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in data engineering associated with MIT. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job.